G'day guys, Mick here. Today, I just want to do a reasonably short video on something I've noticed over the weekend. I did a trip with my brother and a couple of his mates Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We went from Wiseman's Ferry up through Wollombi, stayed at the tavern, then across into the Wagon Mountains, stayed there, and then into Morisset for a bit of fun on Sunday. Now my brother, a few months back, purchased a 2004 Triton dual cab. His mates all drive things like little Skylines, like R31 Skylines and that. And, you know, they've always been into their sporty, drifty sort of cars and that. While we were out on the weekend, it's been the first time my brother's taken his four-wheel drive, or his Triton off-road. So it's the first time he's actually engaged four-wheel drive in his vehicle. It's the first time he's gotten to see what it's actually like. And him and his mates were all blown away with how the car handled. Now, this is a standard 2004 Triton. I think it may have a little bit of a lift in it, and it's got all-terrain tyres. Otherwise, it's pretty well bog stock. They were blown away with how this car handled. The whole weekend, the boys are sitting there talking about Land Cruisers and Petrols with 2-inch, 4-inch lift and body lift and massive tyres and things like that. Oh, I'm gonna need to get one of them, gonna need to get one of them. Well, that's sort of what made me want to do this video. Plus I've seen a few other YouTubers do similar videos, and I feel that the way they talk about what you need to get off-road and what you need to tour and see just even relatively local parts of the country within your state, even really to travel the country, I feel that they seem to discount a lot of vehicles. Now, we all hear it, we all see it with all these guys, is Land Cruisers, Patrols, you know, you need the big stuff, you need the beefy, long-lasting. Now, don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against Land Cruisers and Patrols. I do think Land Cruisers are a bit overpriced, but I know Toyota has a great reputation. Patrols, same deal, they've got quite a good reputation as a solid off-roader. In my opinion though, I don't think you really need one of those. Now, remember, this is my opinion. The parts for a Petrol and Land Cruiser might be more readily available if you're doing the Simpson Desert or something like that. But for general, most people, like I live here on the Central Coast of New South Wales. I've grown up in Sydney. I travel Wagon Mountains and things like that. So for most people, in my areas in Sydney and whatnot, we don't need those sort of vehicles. The sort of touring I do, I still want to see the country. I'd love to do Cape York. I'd love to do Fraser Island. And I know my Pajero's capable of doing that. A winch on the front could probably come in handy, but I know my vehicle's capable of doing it. And I don't feel that you need to spend big bucks on buying these big four-wheel drives. I've seen Suzuki Vitaras and that have outwheeled bigger vehicles, Patrols and stuff like that. So to sit there and sort of give everyone the opinion that you need to buy these big beastie 4Bs to do anything is complete and utter bullshit. What we witnessed on the weekend, and this is what my brother and the guys saw, was the Pajero and the Triton handled everything that was thrown at them with very little wheel slip. We got up some reasonable rock steps. Mind you, we're not climbing bloody cliffs like that. To me, that's not a fun day out. That's where I'm going to break crap and cause damage to my vehicle and be spending a fortune. I can't afford that. Neither can my brother. Neither can his mates. So for the sort of four-wheeling that we want to do, getting out and seeing the country and maybe having a little bit of fun in places like Morisset and stuff like that. But mostly getting out and seeing the country and just travelling, touring. The Pajero, the Triton, the BT50s, the bloody Navaras, the Luxies, you know, a lot of different vehicles are capable of this, and that's where I feel the issue is that a lot of other YouTubers, a lot of other channels and shows promote that you need these big beastie four-wheel drives to do anything. And that's what I'm sort of trying to say and trying to encourage people, that you don't need that. Yes, okay, if you want to go rock hopping and climbing up the side of a mountain and things like that, you need the bigger lift and the bigger tyres and all that sort of thing. But for the majority of people, it's really not necessary. If you're trying to take care of your car, and if, like me, it's your daily driver, the last thing you want to do is break it. So you're not going to push it through all that crazy stuff. Even if you are to look at a Land Cruiser, Petrol, Prado, whatever it might be, these better brands, so to speak, you really don't need to go all out and put this massive lift and massive tyres on them. I see a lot of this to be like the Ford versus Holden battle, you know? It's Toyota versus Nissan, Land Cruiser versus Petrol. I keep going to say fucking Prado. Land Cruiser versus Petrol. And in my situation, I'm more like the guy that wants to run around in a Nissan or a Mitsubishi or something like that in the background. Well, you know, rather than being the Ford and Holden, I've gone to the Pajero. And it's been just as capable. It's done everything I've wanted it to do. Yes, I've been stuck. Yes, I've taken the wrong line. Yes, I've done stupid things. But hey, that's part of four-wheel drive, and who doesn't get stuck and do the wrong thing here and there? So I just want people to stop and think, when buying a four-wheel drive, really think about what you are going to use it for. Are you going to be mountain climbing with it? Climbing up rock faces and massive mud holes, and you know, driving through bloody bog holes that'd be up to your neck if you were to walk it. If you're not doing that, you don't need all this stupid stuff. For most of us, I think most of us can't really afford a second vehicle. I know I can't. My wife's got another bloody car, but we struggle to afford that. But I can't afford a second vehicle to have this as my weekender. So this has got to be my daily driver. And for most of us, if we go putting these big modifications like the 35-inch tyres and the 4-inch lifts and things like that onto our vehicles, they're no longer suitable as a daily driver. They need to be engineered or they get defected. So that's sort of where I'm looking, is that when it comes to buying a 4B, really stop and think about what you're going to use that car for. How often are you going to be off-road with it? What sort of off-road driving are you going to be doing with it, or do you want to do with it? And what are you doing with it the rest of the time you're not off-road? If it's a daily driver and a family car, like mine is, you know, the big lifts and massive tyres and things like that just aren't practical. They're not suitable for my use. And I think for many of us out there, they're not. So when it comes to looking at your four-wheel drives, by all means, you know, there's a lot of love there for the Patrols and for the Land Cruisers. So by all means, have a look at them. But don't discount the other brands like the Mitsubishis, your Tritons, your Pajeros, your Nissan Navaras, your Mazda BT50s. Don't discount all those other vehicles either. There's a list as long as your bloody arm of different four-wheel drives, like the Holden Colorado and Jackaroos and things like that. They're still very capable, and for most people, using them as a weekender out in the bush, these vehicles will probably actually be more suitable to you. So for most people that do only get out on a weekend and like to have a little bit of a play around in the bush, or just get out to these further fishing spots to explore and things like that, things like the Pajero and Navaras and things like that will probably actually be more suitable. Rather than looking at these ones with the big lifts and stuff like that. Remember, if you do go modifying the vehicle and putting a big lift on them and all this sort of stuff, not only is it the lift you've got to look at your brake lines, your control arms, this, that and everything bloody else. The bigger tyres, you need bigger brakes to be able to pull you up and stop you. The more weight your vehicle carries, the bigger your brakes have got to be. And then you've got to look at engineering and everything too, so that the vehicle is still road legal. If your vehicle has a 4-inch lift, for example, and 35-inch tyres, and is not technically road legal, you get in an accident, insurance isn't going to cover you because it's made your vehicle unstable and unsuitable for the road. So really stop and think about things like that before you buy a 4-wheel drive. What you want to use it for, whether it's going to be a weekend warrior, whether you're going to be long distance touring, whether you're going to be on the road 5 out of 7 days, or whether you're going to be driving it to and from work 5 out of 7 days, or if you're going to be out in the bush doing dirt roads, large corrugations in that majority of the time. If you're going to be doing long distance touring and be out a lot of the time off-road, then yes, buy a Land Cruiser or Petrol or something like that. Upgrade all your suspension and bit of lift and whatnot. If that's what you're going to be doing, spend the money to do it. But if you're going to be driving it to and from work Monday to Friday and then having a wheel on the weekend, there's really no point. I can say it time and time again, this thing has got me pretty well everywhere I've wanted it to go. And other than a 2-inch lift, it's pretty much stock. Although the suspension's sagged at the moment, other than a 2-inch lift, this has gotten me, it's pretty much stock, and it's gotten me pretty much everywhere I've wanted it to go. So don't discount the other brands when you are looking for a car. Especially if you're a young guy, don't fall into that trap, oh, it's got to be a Petrol or it's got to be a Land Cruiser. For the amount of times you're going to go out bush, they're probably not worth it. The other thing you've got to look at too is your petrol versus diesel. Can you really afford the maintenance cost on a diesel vehicle? By all means, yes, you might get some better fuel economy, although I've heard guys talking about worse fuel economy in their diesels than what I get in this petrol, with similar modifications and a similar weight. So yes, diesel might be better for fuel economy, but again, is it really going to be worth it? Is the maintenance and the running costs, the additional servicing costs and things like that really going to outweigh the small saving in petrol or fuel that you're going to get? So yeah, really take your time, guys. If you're going to looking for your first 4B and you want to start getting out and exploring and having a bit of fun, really take your time and research what you've got, what you're going to use it for, how much your budget is, and don't discount brands because they're not the top brands. If I had done that, I would never have purchased this Pajero. I was looking for Land Cruisers and Patrols when I looked for a 4-wheel drive. I wasn't looking at Pajeros. But now I think if I had bought one of those, I would have been kicking myself. I love this car, it's amazing. This car has absolutely blown me away. So I'm glad I was convinced to actually have a look at them. So yeah, honestly, take your time, have a real good look, and don't discount other brands. Take them for a drive. Join some of the, even while you're searching for cars, join some of the Pajero forums or whatever pages and that are on Facebook there for the different brands of cars, and ask people opinions on what to look out for and what not to buy and things like that. And then you'll get an idea of what's going to be the best thing for you. Alright, that's it for this video. I am going to do a couple more today, a couple of other things I want to have a talk about, so I'm going to do those. Might drive to another spot and set up there and see what happens. I do like this spot though, it's such a beautiful view behind me. I can see most of the Central Coast, and Heaton's Lookout's over that way, which is cool. So on the weekend I could actually see where I'm standing now. Anyway, yeah, so that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe, share it around. Try and encourage your mates and stuff, anybody that you might know that's looking for a 4B to watch the video. And again, just really stop and think about what you're going to be using the vehicle for mostly, and really what you need to do. If you are looking for something that's going to be a serious rock crawler, then maybe you are better off having a second vehicle for day-to-day driving and only using the 4-wheel drive for the weekends. If you can afford it. If not, there's got to be a compromise. otherwise you get too many death traps on the road. Alrighty, that's it. I'm going to stop rambling. I'll see you out on the tracks.